Hey, beautiful people. So, how you doing? Bit of a rundown of my week. So, I had a couple of really nice conversations actually, and I'll probably record a second episode about the second one that I had separately. But the first conversation I had was with Mike Furman on the Bold and Bold podcast that we run together. And we talked about money mindset. And so as I've been going through the week, my kids have been off school, and on the days that I've had them, they've gone back to their mums today. But thought of a few things around kind of money mindset, and then also I'm a big fan of authenticity. Now I'll start with authenticity first. Why is that important, and what's the link? It's important because I know that I've filled different roles in my life, whether it's in my corporate career, as a parent, as a former husband or boyfriend or whatever, right? And the thing I've struggled with, and I'm kind of having this epiphany now, is that we all wear masks, and it's okay to wear masks, right? The challenge for me has been is that I haven't been able to take the masks off, or I haven't even known that I haven't taken the masks off. I've either been like a type A kind of just get stuff done sort of a person, or I've been a go with the flow sort of a guy, or I've been a people pleaser. So whatever the other person wants, whatever other people want, I just kind of go with the flow. And what I found that's done is that's caused resentment in me. And then that's then got trapped in my body, or it's manifested as anger or disappointment or whatever else, right? Now, I just want to be really, really clear, right? I'm not sitting here saying I regret any of this stuff. I think it's part of my soul's journey to go on this and to experience it, right? What I am grateful for is the learnings that I've taken from it all, and I'm continuing to take. My philosophy is when it comes to personal growth and personal development, I found it probably towards the middle of my life rather than the earlier part of my life. In the earlier part of my life, I had lots of people who were around me who were sharing this stuff. I think my eldest sister is probably one of the key ones that sticks out. But I wasn't ready to receive. And this is another point, is that for anyone that's listening to this, right? Some of it may seem gobbledygook, some of it just you might not be able to relate to it, and that's okay. That doesn't make it right or wrong. What it means is you just might not be ready for it. You might not be at that stage, okay? So where was I going with that? So authenticity, yeah. So now I feel like my corporate career ended. Maybe for now, maybe forever, who knows? But the thing is, I love to coach. I love to create these podcasts. I love to create content. I hope it's useful for some of you out there. Um, at the moment, I'm just keeping it quite raw and not scripted because my life is not rehearsed, right? If my life is not rehearsed and practiced, why would I do that with a podcast or with content, right? Yes, there is a certain amount of preparation. The preparation is literally, here's what I'm going to talk about. But this is just me being my authentic self. And so when I had this conversation with Mike around money mindset, it came back to the one thing which I think affects everything in everyone's life, right? And that is limiting beliefs. And so we talked about what are our limiting beliefs around money. I explored the fact that I'd done a Mind Valley quest with Ken Honda, and we're massive fans of Mind Valley. I realize it's expensive and it's not for everyone. But I think in terms of a digestible, quick form of information and learning about a lot of things, and it's interactive learning as well, and you have a cohort of people, I certainly haven't found anything better yet. So I'm a fan. I'm sold. I'm not going to lie about that. I don't get paid for this by them. There's no sponsorship. What I can tell you is that it's touched my life, particularly in the past the past year, right? It's been on my radar for about a year and a half, but in the past year, it's really, really touched my life. And for that, I'm grateful. So I just came up with a few questions that I'm probably going to sort of try and answer myself, but I would also ask you to ponder on them when it comes to money, right? And so I suppose the first one is, what is a limiting belief that I've had about money that's influenced a major decision in my life? And I think for me, the one thing I've heard in my life is money doesn't buy happiness, right? And it takes money to make money. And the thing I struggled with, especially with the second one, is, yeah, but you have these people that have come from nothing and made loads of money. So I get now they've got money to make money, but then what about the money that they made to begin with, right? And look, I'm not saying that anybody that has said this has come from a place of malice, but it's just sometimes because of unconscious programming and the way that we grow up and biases, we just say stuff, right? We say shit and we don't really understand what that shit means. Even worse, we don't really think about the impact of the shit that we say on other people, on loved ones, on children, and whatever else, right? So for me, there's been an indifference to money, and maybe that's why, it's come to me when I've not expected it, but then it's also flowed through me, right? So, on the face of it, those would be my limiting beliefs. And then, the other one is, what's the link between authenticity in relation to money? Have you not been yourself, your authentic self, because of maybe financial pressures or a job that pays you well or whatever? And, the answer for me is absolutely, right? Absolutely, unequivocally. And that's not to say that I didn't value my corporate career, but I got into that system of, got to do more, got to get better, maybe move job to earn more money. And I was basically trading time for money. And I don't want to do that anymore, right? I've got an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. I want to spend the next 7 years before they become teenagers and kind of distance themselves a little bit from me. I want to make the most of this time, right? Which is why I'm doing what I'm doing, which is why I'm talking about this sort of stuff, and why I talk about stuff with my shit. That was my phone. Sorry, should have put that on silent. So for me, it's I forgot what I was saying. That phone call really killed my momentum. But yeah, so I have done things that have meant that I'm not being my authentic self. Nothing dodgy, right? It's just work, right? But now I've had this epiphany of, this is what my life means, and this is the direction that my life is going to take. The other important thing is about service. And Mike and I have talked about this trip, the Super Coach event by EverCoach, that we all went on, and it's kind of changed our mindset. And the thing for me is, what it really, really reiterated is, I was born to be around people. I was born to be around people and to serve people. And I think I've done that, or I've tried to do that with the best of intentions, but I think it's come across as preachy, and it's either come across as preachy, or I've done it at inappropriate times and inappropriate teams with people who aren't ready to receive. Now, again, I'm not regretting this, but now, when you go on this growth journey and you see things, you kind of have these moments that come back to you, and you think, shit, man, I was trying to force it down someone's throat when they weren't ready. So that's what I would say about that. So that's why, if these podcasts, or if me coaching someone, or if me just having a conversation with someone in a coffee shop just improves their life just by one thing, changes their mindset, then do you know what? My life has been worth living. And I think I have massively undervalued the power of that, right? I've underestimated the power of how much we as people can influence other people, not just by the things that we say, but just by our presence, just by our energy, right? And I'll talk about energy and spirituality a lot. And so then, I suppose moving on, the next thing then is to talk about, young people and money. And I first read Rich Dad Poor Dad about 10 years ago, right? And none of it stuck. And again, I will keep making this point that none of it stuck because I wasn't ready to receive, right? I've just read it again, and I've also been doing some research on financial literacy, because I'm not ashamed to admit that at school, I learned nothing about financial literacy. In fact, I would venture to say, and kids, please, cover your ears when I say this, there is not a lot that I learned at school that has been massively useful. I mean, adding up, taking away reading, yeah, great. But outside of that, we weren't taught about financial literacy. We weren't really taught about life skills. We weren't really taught about the stuff that's important. I've got all these bongs going on my laptop that I need to turn off. Talk about bad preparation, right? This is really organic. So yeah, if I was teaching my kids now, and I do teach them, it's like, okay, well, if you got £10, how can you make that £10 work for you? And they're only young, so the first thought, especially with my 8-year-old, is, okay, I'm going to buy this with that. And she is quite good, and she has said the idea of, well, I want you to put it in the bank. And then she asked about an app called Go Henry today, which is, spending for kids, right? They have an account, they have a card, and it allows them to manage their money. That's one part of it. And so I'm not going to be saying to them that, you need money to make money, but what I'm going to say is just understand what money is. It's just energy, right? Understand what good looks like for you in your life. Understand where you want money to take you. And for me now, the biggest epiphany is, if I want to make a load of money, it's not just for me, right? I think about, how can I change the world? How can I serve my kids? How can I serve, my family? How can I serve the people that are closest to me? Shit, how can I serve even the people that I don't know through an abundance of money, right? And those are the things that I really, really want to instill upon my daughters. Now, I'm not saying that this is the right way. I'm just saying this is where my head's at. And if this is useful for you guys, then then fine. The next one that I'm looking at in these notes is, what about a person you admire who appears to have a healthy relationship with money? I don't know. I don't think I can answer that with a yes or a no, because I don't know what a healthy relationship with money is. I mean, if you have got any thoughts, please, on YouTube, drop me a message in the comments or let me know. But I know people have more money and people that have less money and people that have loads of money. I couldn't begin to define what a healthy relationship with money is. I mean, I could go and say, well, a healthy relationship with money might be like a healthy relationship with a friend or a partner. There's respect, there's appreciation, there's not taking for granted and stuff like that. But outside of that, I don't know, right? What else? Some other notes here. Oh, here's a question. Do I believe it's possible to be wealthy and authentic? Depends on the stage. I think when well, consensus or traditional thinking in my mind would say no. That while you're making money, you have to sacrifice some authenticity. But actually, the more and more I look at it now, I think, well, why the hell not? Why the hell can't you be yourself and be authentic? I suppose the person I'd love to interview is a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V, who does V Friends, and he's done loads of other stuff. He's super loaded. And, he's full of the F-bombs. He will record podcasts from his phone. He doesn't really give a shit about sound quality or whatever, because for him, getting the message out is more important, right? And so maybe it'd be nice to ask him the question, or someone like him, the question of, have you always been yourself on the quest to making money, right? And I suspect he probably has. I suspect probably a lot of people have been. Maybe it's just a limiting belief that I have. And yeah, so what else? Money can't buy happiness. Ooh, money can't buy happiness. That's a good one. I think I mentioned that. I don't think it's about happiness. I don't think money is about happiness. It's just an energy exchange, right? I think when I was growing up, I heard a lot of people say money can't buy happiness. And no, it can't. Nothing can buy happiness, right? But what money does give you is it gives you the opportunity to experience things, right? And to experience those things with other people. Yeah. And it gives you opportunities, and it puts you in maybe positions that you might find yourself in that you wouldn't find if you didn't have money. And so for me, it's a tricky one. I think literally, yes, it cannot buy happiness, But I think that's a very, very oversimplified way of looking at money. So that's probably what I'd say on that. Um, and then I keep thinking about upbringing. I was quite comfortable when I grew up. My dad died when I was 10. I didn't really want for anything. Obviously, kids at school had the cooler stuff, and I kind of didn't. But that's okay. I was safe, very, middle class in the UK, loved, two beautiful sisters, a beautiful mum who, always tried to put me first. If anything, I was probably a little bit spoiled, right? Um, but that's okay. I guess people overcompensate, right? And I probably do that with my kids. I'm not with their mums, so in some ways, I've probably spoilt them more than I would have if we were still a family unit. So, what's really hard about all of this is trying to unprogram some of the thoughts that you've got about money and about authenticity and whether it's okay to be yourself. I've had certain people say, oh, you're too loud, or you're too this, or you're too that. And I'm like, well, this is me. I couldn't say that at the time. At the time, I thought, oh shit, am I too loud? Am I too much? The answer is maybe for some people I am. But you know what? For those people that I am too much, they're not my tribe. They're not my people. I'm not their person. And that's okay. And this used to really affect my self-esteem. It's probably in the past 6 months, probably only in the past 6 months, that I've started to rebuild my self-esteem. And it's a fucking brilliant place to be, right? And I wish everyone could be here, because it's liberating, right? And it's not about the arrogance of, I don't give a shit about what other people think. I'm not that arrogant, right? I do care. I am compassionate. But I don't internalize it to the point that it affects me as much in terms of how I behave, in terms of the things that I do, the places that I go, how I dress, whatever it might be, the things that I do for work. Now I am kind of beginning to be an unlimited version of me. And, that's really, really important, because I can't be the best version of me for my clients or for my kids or for my family unless I am being me, right? The authentic me, right? So that's that point. The other one is whether I deserve, or whether you deserve, wealth or abundance. Yeah, now this is a tough one. This is a tough one, because one of the things Ken Honda says is, in order to to give money, yeah, happy money he talks about, you have to be able to receive money as well. And I think that is kind of a block for me at the moment, because, I've had a lot of feedback in terms of, I am good at what I do, and people really get value from it. But then for me to take that to the next level and charge them what I'm going to be charging them, in terms of the outcomes that they achieve when they work with me, that's a separate conversation. I still have a lot of limiting beliefs around that I'm working through. So my superficial answer to, do I deserve wealth or abundance, is yes. I think everybody does, right? Actually, yeah. That's a slightly different conversation to then, attracting the energy that brings it into you, and things like, saying to people, this is how much I charge, or this is what I do, or whatever, right? So watch this space. I am working on that. Bearing in mind, there's only my second podcast, right? So we've got a long way to go. And then the final thing, if money were no object, how would your life look different? How would it look the same? Wow. I think I would travel more. I would take my kids to see more stuff. I would travel in style. I would go away more times a year. I would spend more of the time, when I don't have my kids with me, I would spend more of that time abroad, right? And meeting people, and seeing different things. The reality is, the biggest gap I have when I don't see my kids is 5 days. So I wouldn't really want to go super long haul for those 5 days, because just then the recovery time for me is a couple of weeks, right? As it is, I'm still recovering from Estonia, and that was only 2 hours ahead, but that was because I slept an average of 2 hours a night for 4 nights, right? So that's why that is. But I think that's how it would look different. I'd do more for other people. I think I've always kind of had a fear of money and losing it, so I've always kept what I've had. And maybe some of the people around me haven't helped that, but now I want to give, I want to do more, and stay in my own heart as I do that, right? That's super, super important. So yeah, that's the end of my run out of stuff to talk about, actually. So that's kind of it. I hope some of it was useful. If nothing else, it was therapy for me, talking to myself on a recorded Zoom call. So yeah, enjoy, beautiful souls. Thank you for listening, and be well. Till next time. Ciao for now.